just a bit of an update of where I'm up to on my VL this week. So last Saturday, those who have been following this will remember that I had a little bit of a colour difference on this door. That's because I did some kind of a blend on there, but last Saturday I did this door again and I'm happy with how that colour is now. I've got that pretty good, and I did the bottoms of the doors because they were going to get aero molds over it, and I missed a few dents which I sorted out. I didn't clean off all that urethane, so I cleaned that off and then just repainted below that mold, just under where this mold sits. So they're sitting quite nice even gap the whole way along. Got those mouldings on. I did these sill covers, which I've since been told are VLLE sill covers, someone mentioned. I've got the front bumper bar on. It's not sitting the best, but it's sort of hard to make it sit any better. The only real way you can improve that, you can sort of fit your fingers down there, is to actually build that lip out and up under. But it's something I'm going to live with. I've got to do a bit more adjusting around the front here. That's not quite sitting right. It's moving around. I've got to get some bolts up in there. I'll do a bit more adjusting. I just sat these panels on, especially this bonnet. That's just sitting there, so I'm going to get that sitting down a little bit. Still got to get these wipers in. Apart from that, had to redo this door as well. So there's a little chip here, so I just decided to paint it again. But I'm pretty happy with the colours now. I've got those doors adjusted a little bit better than what they were last week, and making good progress. The next step is to get my diff changed out. I've got a rear end with disc brakes over here. That's a different diff because the Walkinshaw wheels don't quite fit over the drums. They just pinch up on the drums and they're constantly on. So I'm going to get my mechanic who owes me a favour across the road to do that for me. Once that's done, we'll get the tow bar pulled off, and I've got a drop tank in there which I'm going to be putting in, so that should look pretty mad. That's the only real thing that's stopping me from putting the rear bumper on. There's no real use in doing that before we get this stuff sorted out. I painted these the other day. I reckon they look pretty cool. Pretty unique. Most of these are black or white. They do vary from model to model. What I've actually got here is I think these are Calais, and that's SL. So if you actually look close, this one's a little bit lighter with the tint than this one, but I'm gonna have to live with it because I had two sets and the left was stuffed on one and the right was stuffed on the other, so I just scrounged up a couple out of that. Apart from that, I broke these little tail light mouldings when I was pulling them off. All the tabs from the inside broke. So I found a guy here in Perth who's going to be able to give me those two. I'm going to have to put that moulding across here too. But making good progress. I'll give you guys another update next week. Hopefully I should be back on the road by then. I got these fitted a bit better too from last week. I had to trim this rubber back just with a razor blade, and I put a bit of urethane up under there and taped that down, and I ended up having to do a couple of little changes to these bits here. Had to get my grinder in because they were built up a little bit too thick with the fiberglass on the inside, so they weren't fitting. Same thing around here. Accidentally got a little bit of a scratch there, but meh. I'm going to have to live with that. Might just do a little touch up and figure out something with this rubber. I've got some rubber that I might be able to just glue inside there just to hide that gap. This side here, I'm actually going to have to cut that rubber back just a touch because it's still just sitting over it, but this side hasn't been urethaned in yet, so it's not going to be an issue. Cut that rubber back and maybe just put a bit of urethane up under there and tape it down again. But same thing over here, it's sort of touching up there. You get that when you're working with fiberglass parts, they never really fit 100%. But that front looks pretty mad, I reckon, with that front bar on now. Should be driving it around by the weekend if all goes to plan. Yeah, it's a bit of a bitzer. It's not exactly how any VLs came out from factory. This is a HDT rear boot spoiler. You've got the LE steel covers, and you've got your Walkinshaw bonnet and your aero bumpers. So it's definitely a bitzer, but I still reckon it's a cool look. That's one other thing actually. With the door handle here, I was being a bit lazy, just rushing it, and I should have taken the time to get up there and take the better door handle out of one of the other ones, which I've since done. So I've got this other door handle here that I'm going to put in. Looks a bit better than that. They're actually a bit of a prick to get in and out if you don't know what you're doing, so I might even just make a separate video on how to remove and refit those door handles. Once you know what you're doing, it's actually pretty simple. But the basic idea is you've got to release these two screws, get that one out, move that lock forward, and there's a couple of 10mm nuts holding it in. And then you have to basically flip this upside down to get that onto the rod. So you have to pull that up like that, and then put the door handle sort of in like upside down like that, and then spin it around. So I'll make another video just dedicated to that at a later date.